I never thought a $30 bird bath would nearly get me kicked out of my own neighborhood. But that's exactly what happened the day the HOA decided to declare war on my front lawn. 3 weeks later, the same woman who ordered me to remove it was standing in front of my house screaming, while a 10-foot-tall volcano gurgled, smoked, and spewed water into the air. Yeah, that escalated fast. I moved to Cypress Creek Estates for one reason: peace. The kind of quiet so still you can hear your own thoughts echo. The houses are beige, the fences are beige, and I swear the people have beige souls. But I didn't mind. I was a middle-aged accountant with a love for coffee-calm mornings and bird-watching. My wife Sarah called it old man therapy. One morning I placed a small gray bird bath in the yard, a plain concrete thing from Home Depot. Nothing fancy, nothing flashy. Just a quiet spot for my favorite sparrow Reginald to splash around in. I was watching him when I heard the faint hum of a golf cart. Beige, of course. She arrived like a storm disguised as a socialite, Karen Witherford, president of the HOA. Visor so white it could blind satellites, clipboard clutched to her chest like a weapon. She didn't say hello, just stared at the bird bath. Then, in that dry, brittle tone of hers, David, that's not on the approved list. Remove it within 48 hours or face fines $50 a day. I laughed, thought she was joking. Karen, it's a bird bath. For birds. She didn't blink. Article 4, Section B, Lawn. Ornaments prohibited. She handed me an envelope printed in bold red letters, violation notice, and drove off without another word. Sarah looked at me over her coffee mug. Just move it, Dave. It's not worth it. But my eyes were stuck on one phrase, unapproved structure. Something inside me snapped. Structure, huh? Fine. If it's a structure she wants to talk about, let's talk about structures. I spent that night in the garage with the HOA's holy book, the covenants, conditions, and restrictions. 300 pages of fine print telling you exactly how not to enjoy your own property. I highlighted, cross-referenced, muttered to myself like a lunatic. And somewhere between no poppy red doors and no joy visible from the street, I found it. Article 7, Section D, Fountains and Water Features. One fountain or water feature is allowed as long as it's professionally installed and doesn't create a nuisance. That was it. No height limit, no color limit, no clause against geological insanity. I stumbled into the kitchen like I'd found the cure for boredom. Sarah, I said, holding the binder up like a trophy. She banned a bird bath, but she didn't ban fountains. She blinked. Please tell me you're not thinking what I think you're thinking. Oh, I'm way past thinking. I'm planning. I spent the next morning calling landscaping companies. Every one of them hung up the moment I said the word volcano. Until I reached a place called Monuments of Whimsy. The guy on the phone didn't laugh. He just asked, "You want it to bubble or shoot smoke?" I nearly cried. Both. 2 days later, a dented pickup rolled up to my house. Out stepped Sal and his son, both looking like they'd built half the weird stuff on Route 66. Sal took one long look at my front yard, spat into the grass, and said, 10 feet? Sound good. It sounds perfect. When the cement truck arrived that Monday, the neighborhood lost its collective beige mind. Karen came marching down the street in her tennis shoes visor glinting like a signal flare. David, what is this? You can't pour a slab without approval. It's not a slab, I said, beer in hand at 8:05 a.m. It's a fountain base. Article 7, Section D. Already filed the paperwork. She froze. I could see the twitch in her left eye. That looks taller than a fountain. Internal plumbing, Karen, very complex, for the gurgling. For 3 glorious days, the sound of hammers and power tools echoed through the beige silence. Neighbors peeked through blinds, dogs barked, and I just sat there sipping coffee watching my masterpiece rise. When they finally painted it fire engine red, molten orange, yellow streaks of chaos, it was like a volcano had erupted in suburbia. Friday afternoon, we unveiled it. A 10-foot, smoke-ready monument to defiance. A sparrow landed on top, dipped its beak in the bubbling water. I looked straight at Karen. See, bird fountain. Totally compliant. Her jaw quivered. I'm fining you into oblivion. I smiled and pressed the button that turned on the red LED magma lights. Her scream could have cracked glass. The next week was war. Every morning, my mailbox overflowed with violation notices. Unauthorized color palette, noise disturbance, offensive to the spirit of the community. The spirit of the community. I measured the fountain's sound myself, 60 decibels at the property line. Karen's own lawn crew's leaf blower hit 110. I printed the readings, stapled them to her notices, and mailed them back. When she fined me for using lava red, I sent her a dictionary definition. Lava, molten rock, expelled by the earth. Earth tone. Karen. Literally. Still, the flood of paperwork kept coming. I felt myself starting to crack. One night, I sat on the porch staring at Mount Karen. Yeah, that's what Sarah had started calling it, and wondered if maybe I'd gone too far. Maybe I was the crazy one. Maybe this fight for a stupid birdbath wasn't worth it. Sarah sat beside me quietly. "You could just take it down," she said. I didn't answer. The fountain gurgled softly. A tiny bird landed on the rim, completely unfazed by the chaos. That sound, the water, the wings, it reminded me why I'd started this in the first place. Because peace isn't something you're handed in a beige box. Sometimes you have to fight for it. By Tuesday morning, Karen had crossed the final line. She called the cops. When the squad car pulled up, I met the officers halfway down the driveway. One was grizzled, one looked barely old enough to drive. They both just stared at the volcano. The older one sighed. "Sir, are you the owner of this?" "That's me, it's a bird fountain." He tapped the concrete with his nightstick. "It's solid." He looked at me. "Look, it's ugly as sin, but it's not illegal. We're only here because someone called 911 about an unstable and intimidating structure." From her window, Karen's visor glimmered like the eye of Sauron. The officer raised his voice. "Ma'am, stop calling 911 about your neighbor's lawn art. Next time you do, you're getting the ticket." I gave her a little two-finger salute as they drove off. Checkmate. But Karen wasn't done. 2 days later, I got a certified letter in emergency HOA tribunal. The final boss level. The clubhouse was packed that night. Every beige soul in Cypress Creek had shown up, half of them hoping for drama. Karen sat at the front with her little gavel and a slideshow ready. "This structure," she began, voice trembling with fury, "is an insult to our community. It's tacky, it's garish, it's destroying property values." She clicked to the next slide, a giant photo of my volcano mid-eruption. Sarah squeezed my hand under the table. "Please," she whispered, "just don't be you." When she finally finished her monologue, Karen smirked. "David, do you have anything to say in your defense?" I stood up holding my thick binder of bylaws. Actually, yes. I flipped to the first tab. You cited Article 5, Section G, unapproved color palette. But lava red and ash gray are the most earth tone colors on the planet. Lava is literally the Earth's tone, so no violation there. A murmur spread through the crowd. I kept going. Next, nuisance noise. Article 9 explicitly permits fountain noise between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. My fountain runs exactly those hours. I even measured it. 60 decibels. Quieter than your lawn crew's leaf blowers, Karen. More whispers, a few chuckles. Bob, my neighbor with the wind chimes, whispered, "Get her, Dave." And finally, I said, holding up a letter, "Officer Miller of the police department confirmed this structure isn't a safety issue or code violation. I even have an engineering report from the contractor verifying structural integrity. So, what exactly am I guilty of?" Karen's face was twitching. "It's tacky," she shouted. "It violates the spirit of the community." I smiled, reached into my pocket, and pulled out the black remote. "Then I guess it's time for a little community spirit demonstration." I pointed toward the clubhouse window and pressed the button. Outside, Mount Karen came alive. Red magma lights glowed through thick plumes of white smoke as water burst from the caldera in a shimmering arc. It looked like the gates of suburban hell had opened right on Cypress Bend Drive. The room fell silent, and then clap. One person started it, then another. Within seconds, the entire crowd was laughing, cheering, clapping. Even the people who'd never dared to defy the HOA were filming it, tears in their eyes from laughing too hard. Karen's face turned crimson. She slammed her gavel, but no one was listening anymore. The board voted. The motion to remove my fountain failed spectacularly too, in favor one asleep and the rest abstaining because, well, they kind of liked the smoke. That was the end. The fines stopped. Cynthia Karen's right-hand gossip sold her house. The neighborhood changed. People started hanging wind chimes again, planting colorful flowers, laughing on their porches. Even Karen's morning power walks got faster, like she was afraid Mount Karen might erupt again if she lingered. Sometimes, when I sit on the porch with my coffee, I watch Reginald and his friends bathe in the glowing basin. The volcano bubbles softly. The air smells like rain and quiet rebellion. And I can't help thinking, in a world full of Karens, sometimes the only way to keep your peace is to build your own volcano.